the other thing, which is what I got from our mutual friend, was it's like, man, Justin, how do I clone myself? I'm glad you asked.
Because we can do it.
Because we can do it. I mean, to a certain extent, obviously. But no, I think what he meant by that was, how can I be in multiple places at one time, and not me physically, but the data in my brain? How can that be in multiple places at once so that I'm not getting pulled?
Hi, it's Dominic Rubino. Welcome to the show. I'm really glad to have you here. Today, we're going to be talking about AI, yes, artificial intelligence. And listen, I thought this episode was going to be about onboarding new people and training and support. But what it turns out is this turned into how we can also use AI for estimating and drafting. Now, how did I meet our guest? His name's Justin Dews. I met him through a client of ours who's already running a multi-million-dollar, very high-end kitchen cabinet shop. And so I started asking him questions about AI. Then I brought his service into my company, and I'm using it internally here. I thought, you know what, this would be a great topic for all of us to understand. AI is not scary, especially if we can harness it. I think you're going to really enjoy this episode. Keep a pen and paper handy so you can take some notes, keep an open mind, and start to think about how you can use this tool going forward. At any point, if you have any questions at all, send me a text message, and I'll guide you through what I think or what I found, or what questions others have asked me about it as well. Let's get to the show. You know, the funny thing is nobody knows what the heck you and I are talking about yet.
Not yet.
Not yet, but they will.
That's right. Absolutely.
So I asked you to be a guest on the show because you're helping my company put AI in place internally to take the burden off of me for answering every question that everybody has when they need it and I'm not ready to answer.
That's it. No. Yeah, we're super excited about what we're doing. And I think one of the things that when we say AI, you know, that can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. So I'm ready to kind of dive into what we're doing for you.
Yeah, good. Well, hey, let me do this then, because a lot of people don't know who you are. No offense, Justin. They have no idea. So let me ask you. That's right. I'm going to ask you the big question. Justin Dews, who the heck are you? And how is it you come to be speaking to all these forward-facing contractors all over the world?
Well, Dom, I'm glad you asked, sir, and happy to break it down for you. So my name is Justin Dews. I am the founder and CEO of PathOpt. We are an AI enablement business based in the Dallas, Texas area. But my career in AI did not start here. So I've spent the last 2 decades in IT services and the last 15 years in specifically deploying and configuring and maintaining IT services for small businesses. We had a managed services provider in the Dallas area, grew that from about 2013 to 2021 when we exited and stayed on with the parent company for a little bit. But what was interesting, Dom, is during that time of doing the IT services, we found a bit of a niche with contractors, construction companies, and
that's how you and I met.
That's it, yeah, and custom cabinet shops, right? And so we had in the North Texas area, there's a lot of activity going on here with new homes, new construction, things like that, and there's quite a few custom cabinet businesses here, and I think we had probably 7 of those under the IT services business we were helping. So anyway, fast forward a couple of years, and in January of 2025, myself and 2 of my business partners started PathOpt. And what we started to understand was that this whole new technology of AI, and it's the buzzword now, right? Everyone wants to understand how they can harness it, how they can use it. But just like what we were doing with IT services, we understood that these small businesses who are going to want to use this technology are not going to, maybe not know how to implement it or use it.
And they don't have the time.
Yeah, they don't have the time to learn how to do it, right?
Yeah.
And so really, just same way with implementing IT services, they're going to want someone to help them with that. And so that was how PathOpt was formed. And we started working with a gentleman that you know who has a multi-million-dollar cabinet shop here in the Dallas area.
Right.
And through our work with him in a similar type project, we were introduced to you. And now we are on our own little pathway to getting your project deployed, and super excited about that.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I should mention that our mutual client, I guess, is you could call him the king of lean manufacturing. I mean, he knows his numbers. He runs a great team, super high quality. I mean, and I just can't speak highly enough of him. So when I heard that he was putting AI in place, after our coaching meeting, I was like, hey, can I get an intro to this guy? Who is this? Who's this magician that you speak of that can take all this time burden off me and create a tool for it, which is pretty cool because I don't know if it's the same. I think it's the same for everybody. I went from not knowing about AI to the next week being on it an hour to the next week using it 2 or 3 hours a week and maybe more.
Yeah, no, I think that seems to be the way that things are going right now. And, there's this entire world of how you get introduced to AI. And most of that is through ChatGPT or Anthropic's Claude or maybe Google Gemini, right? And everyone's talking about it. And, the first thing you do is go, help me write this email to my whoever it is.
Right. Right.
And the next thing you know, and you give it a little bit of background and it spits out this email. And it's like, whoa, hold on here. What just happened, right? And or a lot of people are using the meeting recording and summary tools that Fireflies or Otter or
oh my gosh, yeah,
name them. There's 100 of them out there. But how cool is that, right? You can have this little bot kind of sitting on the meeting with you. You can have full attention to the other participants of the meeting. You're not looking down and writing notes. And then after the meeting is over, the next thing you get this wonderful email with a summary of the meeting, who all was there, what everyone spoke about, what your next action items are. And what follow-up needs to happen. It's like, holy cow, right? And so everyone's getting to experience AI in their own unique way. But what's really interesting, though, is when you talk about, well, how do I use it in my business, not just for me personally?
Right.
That's where things can get interesting.
And so one of the big challenges we have in not just in cabinet shops and millwork shops, but every construction company is how do we onboard people right? And as you know, onboarding our people, I mean, that's when we crystallize. That's when we really galvanize them as a long-standing, valuable employee. They care about us. They know that we care about them. If we don't get onboarding right, none of it goes right. So we've got the onboarding, which leads itself then to training, which lends itself next to support. So that's what I'd like to pick your brain on today is how the heck do we use AI for onboarding, training, and support? Hey, if you guys know me, you know I love Sun Tzu. His book is The Art of War. But you might also know that my old business partner is Brian Tracy. He's a famous author and business strategist. Brian Tracy once said, leaders think and talk about solutions. Followers think and talk about problems. Well, let me ask you, which one of those is your foreman doing today? And then think about Sun Tzu, the great general. And he said, in the midst of chaos, there's also opportunity. If your shop feels like chaos, the opportunity is to train your foreman to lead. That's what Foreman 101 is all about. Join me for a free info call. You, the owner, and your foreman have to attend together. Get on that wait list for the next free information session. Just text me at 315-903-7853 and say foreman training, and we'll get you on the list.
Let's do it. Yeah, the onboarding is an interesting spot, right? Because that's the first impression, the first real impression the new employee is getting of your business.
Yeah.
And if things like, well, I mean, even just think about it, like, okay, is the computer set up and ready for them to go, right? Can they log into their email? Okay. Can they log into all of the platforms we need to do their job? And then
the ERP and all that. Yeah.
The floodgates open and the questions come. So what do we do about all of that training and onboarding and really getting the most out of their first 2, 3, 4 weeks so that they get up and running as fast as possible? And you're
because I know there's more. That's why I was pausing.
No. So what we found is with AI, what AI can do really, really well is it can take a bunch of data, ingest all of that data, understand what's been written, documented, etc., and that can be any format: video, audio.
We should probably stop here for a second and talk about what you did for my company and the other gentleman in DFW. Because, well, what was the total document count, if you remember, on my side for our project? And by the way, folks, everybody listening, I'm using this AI support for onboarding, training, and supporting my coaches. We now have 5 coaches, and all of my coaches are running their own businesses. They just love business coaching. And so when they have questions for me about coaching our clients, I'm usually in a meeting, sometimes with Justin. And so I can't get back to them right away, which slows things down or gives lesser quality to clients in the field. So we gave you all of our documents, our entire G drive. Do you know what the total, give us some stats on the numbers
Yeah,
you're using
right
out of me?
now we are at about 4,600 documents,
Hmm.
and we are just shy of 30 million words stored in the database.
Yeah,
And
29 million of those are me.
there's maybe, yeah, probably 2/3 or so, right? It's just Dom.
No, but you know what I really like is we've got the recordings and the agendas and the strategic plans and the VTOs from all the other coaches as well that's being fed in. So
That's
it's
it.
not always just Dom's answer. It's what
Right.
did Sebastian do in this case? What did Adam do? What did yeah, it's much more broad.
And I think one of the really cool things that we were able to do with you, Dom, is all of the video content that you have over the last handful of years where you're doing these coaching sessions, the boot camps, the trainings, the EOS implementation, all of the things that you're doing. And we're taking that video content and fairly easily, we are turning that into textual based content. So we are transcribing all of those videos so that we have the context and content of them in a form the AI can understand.
So a lot of people are listening to this on iTunes, but some people are on YouTube and they just saw my face change because Justin and I what I did is I created 2 folders inside our Google Drive of all of our documents. And the reason I created 2 is because I was going to go hire some subcontractors to sort of manipulate the files and get them ready for you and your team to do. And then you and I are having our onboarding meeting. I said, I've got a problem. We've got all these videos, which are just, they could be Zoom recordings or internal meetings. In a lot of cases, they're coaching meetings, which, you and I have had confidentiality discussions about those.
Right.
And I said, what do I do with these? Do I turn them into transcripts? Do I get these offshore contractors to turn them into transcripts and give them back up? And you went, no, I could build a bot for that,
That's
which
it.
just blew my mind. Just totally blew me away. So
Yeah.
I think going into this, for anybody here who's wondering, how do I do this? And I don't record all my meetings and I don't know what to do. And Dom's got everything on Google Drive. We use OneDrive. We use Dropbox. Maybe talk about how would you data capture? And you're doing it with other cabinet and trade companies now. How do you data capture for them?
So what, the first, like we did, Dom, with you and your team, and then also with our friend, is the first thing that we do is we have a discovery meeting, right? And so we understand, where does your data live? Because oftentimes that's not just in one place; it's in multiple spots, or it's in someone's head.
It's in somebody's
Correct.
head. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it can be OneDrive, SharePoint, Google Drive, Dropbox, Box, HubSpot, whatever it might be, right? Wherever, website,
Energy everywhere.
a server folder with a bunch of files in it. We need to understand where that data lives, because what we can do is, regardless of where it's kind of siloed at, we have the ability to ingest that data from those multiple spots, silo spots, and provide it and put it into a database, essentially, that the AI can kind of look over and understand. And once we have kind of that data captured, then the next question is, well, how will my team kind of interact with this thing? And that's another cool piece of this, is because we can, put the bot into your Slack or your Teams or a website or a WhatsApp or a Telegram or text message, or wherever your team communicates with each other the most. We can place this bot and make it accessible, right? So it's like, it just becomes part of your daily workflow. You're not having to leave a specific application or platform to go interact with this thing. We're just going to meet you where you're at, and place that bot there. But going back to the data ingestion piece, I think the really kind of key thing, and I don't know that we've pinned it down, and maybe this was a future question and I'm jumping here, but what we can do once we have that data, and it doesn't have to be videos, it can literally be workflows, SOPs, step by step, this is how we do this is how we load a truck, this is how we unload a truck, this is how we deploy our hardware into a customer's house, this is how we pull everything out of a customer, whatever that might be. We can take that documentation, build a database with it, And so now what happens is, instead of when someone asks you a question about, Dom, how do we onboard a new coaching customer?
Or how do we onboard a new employee into our Millwork
Correct.
shop? Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. We can say, well, part of this is just go to the bot. You can go to
And
the
ask
bot
it,
and say,
what did we do last
how
time?
do we onboard a new employee? And
Yeah.
instead of that person having to go search through SharePoint or OneDrive or ask the owner or the lead or the foreman or whoever, hey, how do we do this? They can just go to the bot and ask the question. And within 15, 20 seconds, your entire onboarding documentation is now presented to the person
Yeah.
asking the question. And so we're able to get through a lot of those initial, what I call, like, it's just, you think about it, you got a new person starting, they're excited, you're excited because you're training them, and whoever's training them, they're excited because they're going to take work off their plate, and everyone's all happy and joyous, and we're all excited. And then, you get through the HR piece of it, and this is how we take our lunches, and this is how we go, whatever.
Yeah.
And
PTO is
then,
done like this. Yeah.
yeah, and day 3, the new employee may not have someone shadowing them, or they are not shadowing for the full day again. And now it's like, oh, wait, what did Dom tell me about our
Right.
PTO policy? And where was that employee handbook? I don't recall.
You
And
can just
so
ask the chat.
you can ask the chat, because what happens is that person is, one, they're trying to make a good impression, and they may be a little timid or
Mhm.
not want to ask immediately, right? I just started. I can't be asking questions all
Yeah.
the
Or
time.
the opposite is true. They are asking every 10 minutes.
Everything, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And who are they asking? They're going to be asking the person that trained them. And maybe the person that trained them has meetings going on, calls
Right.
they're doing, right? And so it's like, okay, I'm doing this batch of work that I need to get done. And it's like 3 Slack messages, ping, ping, ping. And now I've got to come over here. Oh yeah, answer this. And then
Yeah.
you go back to your work, right?
So I'm trying to think of the mind of a cabinet millwork shop, maybe a closet company. Let's paint the picture here. We got a shop, 10 to 20 employees. Maybe they're doing around 4 million in sales a year. They're growing. But they're listening to this right now going, I don't have everything written down. I don't have it out of my head and on paper or on digital, like Microsoft Word or Excel or something like that. What would you do for a company who said, I want to use this tool, but we don't have everything captured?
So we've done this for other shops, because this is not an isolated issue. This happens more often.
I figured it'd be pretty
Right?
common. I mean, we deal with it ourselves, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And it's, you may have the main kind of functions of the business documented, but you may not have those little sub functions, subroutines all documented. We can do a couple of things. One, we can help you build your SOP using AI, right? And so we can build a piece of workflow automation or an agent that can ingest some SOPs, documents, things like that you like the format of.
Mm.
And we can say, give me an outline of this process that you do. And you can literally scribble it on a napkin at lunch. And we can take those notes, give it to the AI, and the AI will build us an SOP or workflow. That's
Right.
one way to do it. Another way to do it is we can have you record audio files on your phone on your drive into the office every morning, or back home, or to your kids'
smart.
soccer practice.
So answer a couple questions while you're driving into the office, and you would show them how to upload it automatically to the
100%,
big master database.
Yeah, absolutely. And so now what we're doing is, you just have a thought, oh yeah, this is one of those things I need to get documented. So let's just answer the question real quick, record it on your phone. And now we can set the spot wherever you record it to go ahead and just automatically push that to the database.
You're blowing a lot of people's minds right now. What do you mean? I can automatically record on my phone while I'm driving, and then you can show me how to set it up so it automatically downloads to my cloud server?
Or just make it seamless
yes
for you. Right?
Yeah, the answer is yes. That's exactly what you do. Yeah.
One of the things that we do, Dom, is having helped having been someone who has found joy and excitement in helping these small businesses over the last 15 years. One of the areas that I love the most is really getting someone to understand what might be a fairly robust or complicated topic or subject, and just kind of meeting them where they're at with how they want to consume or interact with that technology.
How do you
right?
mean on that?
Yeah, meeting them where they're at, right? So what I mean is, instead of, let's say, so with this whole audio recording thing,
Right.
instead of saying, hey, I need you to record it on your phone, and when you get to the office, I need you to log into this platform, then I need you to grab this file, I need you to download it, and then I need you to log in over here, and I need you to go upload it, because
You already lost me. Yeah.
yeah,
I
that will
see your
never
point.
happen, right?
Right.
You lost me at, okay, after you record.
Yeah.
And so what we want to do is, let's just make that seamless for you. So once you hit record on your phone and you talk into your phone, you don't worry about it again. You just know it's going to get uploaded to the database, right?
For those of us that are a little more technical, you're setting up a Zap or an IFTT, something like that, right?
Yeah, workflow automation is really what we're setting up, right? And that it can be a number of different platforms, whether that's make.com or Zap or whatever it might be, but we're handling that back-end administrative piece for you.
I see. This is because you were an IT guy already.
That's correct.
And you were an IT guy for the trades already.
That's right.
So you've answered this question. You get frustrated at first, then you find a solution, right? So you've already answered this question. You got a guy who's very skilled, great on the tools, knows how to build and engineer and drafting and pricing. But how do we get it out of his head and on paper? And I guess what you're saying is there's tools for that.
There's 100, yeah, and that's, problem solving is where I get super excited, right?
I could see that from your face. You're like, here's what we're gonna do, Dom. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, I'm an engineer and problem solver by heart. That's kind of how I got my start, and really found a passion in helping these small business owners.
So then this is a very technical. This is a conversation about a technical part of the business. Have you dealt with the estimating, engineering, and drafting questions before, where you've got an owner and they're running, it doesn't matter what kind of shop or what kind of trade we're in, it could be electrical, HVAC, cabinetry, doesn't matter, but the owner's just got so much knowledge, they just know how to price that thing, and they'll say to you, Justin, I can't write it down, I just know it. Mm-hmm. How do you take that owner through the process of making that information that can then be turned into a computer program that spits it out to the next person you just hired as a draftsman?
Correct. So one of the things that we can do, Dom, is we could conduct an interview session with that owner, right? Where it's just him and I having a conversation about this process, about this workflow. And through that interaction of back and forth, we're just having a natural conversation and we're recording it. The same way that you and I are doing
what
here.
We're doing here. Geez, right. I hope I hit record. Now you've got me worried. Yes. Okay.
I see the red button.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
All right.
But no, we can have that natural conversation. So it's not like there's no kind of an intimidating, like overbearing piece of this. Like, we're just going to have a conversation about this process, right? It doesn't have to be anything written down.
Yeah.
Because as someone gets to talking about this process, they're going to start saying, oh yeah, but in this instance, we do this thing over here. And then when it's this person, we do this thing over here. But not if it's, oh yeah, if it's this client, we have this special pricing for them because they've been around for so long. Like, you understand, like, there's all these little edge cases.
There's different vendors, there's different supply chains, there's different timelines. Right.
Yeah. And this person spends this much with us, so they get a 10% break. All of the different, everyone has their own way of kind of pricing and packaging for, depending on who's asking for it. But what we can do is we can take that conversation that we've recorded, and now we can kind of start to build guidelines and notes using AI on how this process might look. And we can build a draft of this outline. We can build a draft of the outlines and notes, whatever, have the owner review it, go, yep, nope, we got to change this little thing here. Okay, great. So what we've built now is we've built guardrails for this computer program to operate within. Like, you have autonomy to do the pricing, you have autonomy to adjust quantities and things like that, but you have to operate within this sandbox, and you can't go make anything up that you don't have access to. And by doing that, a couple of times, we iterate a few times, we go through a kind of a QA process, we pass it off to a lead engineer and say, double check this. Does this sound right to you? Whatever it might be, right? But ultimately, we're going to get a final outline that we can kind of put into production on.
Yeah.
Okay, when I take these inputs, I have square footage, I have this price per square foot of this thing, and I have this many of this handle or whatever, like all the things that go into
All
whatever
the, yeah, the
the
nuances and the
cost, yeah,
things.
the
Yeah.
cogs and yeah, whatever you're going to use to build the thing. And say we're going to take these inputs, and when I put these inputs in, we're going to run it through this system, let's call it, that's
Mhm.
going to understand that when I have X widgets at this price, then my output's going to be whatever it might
Have
be. Right. And now we've got a bit of a system. And we didn't have to, there was no like 3 or 4 hour long documentation session. We just
I
had
would
a
just a
conversation.
chat that was video recorded, and then
Yeah,
your magicians in the background, your AI overlords, I'm going to call them, take that data, but they put it into the database so it's answerable forever
that's correct.
or modified in the future when it changes. So, have you ever had the conversation where you translated this effort into hours? And so, let me back up for a second, Justin. Is this a problem worth solving? Is what Mike, the cabinet maker who's listening right now, is asking himself. Is this even a problem worth solving? I'll answer the first part, but I'm going to get you to answer the second part.
Okay.
So the first part is, Mike, if you're listening right now and your shop does $1 million a year, most of our guys are in the 3-4 million and above range, but let's just say a million for example. If your shop does $1 million a year and you as the owner work 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year, that's about 2,000 hours of work. When I divide those two numbers, your responsibility as the owner of this business, Mike, or any other owner listening, is $500 per hour. Now, that doesn't mean you charge yourself out at $500 an hour when you're doing some work for the company. What it means is your responsibility to the company is you have to be thinking, acting, doing, not doing, prioritizing, putting systems in place with guys like Justin at $501 an hour, or you are moving backwards in the business. So that's me answering the first part. Is this a problem we're solving? Now I'll do the second part for you, Justin. How much time is this now going to save Mike, the cabinet maker, or Pete, the carpenter in his business?
Oh gosh, let's just take the AI bot, Dom, that we are building for your organization, and what we can estimate how much time that's going to save, take off your plate, your coach's plate, whoever. What we're looking at is a minimum of 10 hours per week per person. And because so
10 hours
here's
per
where the
week per
data's,
person.
yeah, here's where the data is coming. There was a study, I think McKinsey did a study about 4 or 5 years ago to understand how much time do people spend on a normal work week searching for data within their organization.
Mm.
They spend 6 to 8 hours per week, so about an hour, hour and a
Ugh.
half per day, looking for stuff.
Just looking for stuff.
Just looking for stuff.
Wasted
right?
efforts, wasted movement. Yeah.
Correct. So if we take just that raw number, let's call it 7 hours per week, that we're now not looking for anything, okay? Or we're getting our answers instantaneously. And now we take that and we add that with, okay, well, now I've found the data. Well, how do I put this data into a format to drop it into an email or put it into my Word doc or whatever it might be? Well, when the AI bot answered the question, it gave you a well-formatted answer
Yeah.
of the data you're looking for. And so now I don't have to rewrite all of this. Now I can just take the answer that I was given and plop it into whatever platform I need to plop it into to send it off to whoever. So when we take the time not searching, and also the time that we're saving just from not having to rewrite everything, we're approaching that 10 plus hours a week or 10 hours a week, just in that part right
My
there.
goodness.
Right? So then think about the whole, like we just talked about, the estimating.
Did you see me just writing notes?
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. If I've got, so the point is this a problem we're solving all day long? All day long. If you're doing anything over $1 million in sales, your minimum value that you got to extract is $500 an hour. So I'm going to ask you this, and I don't know the answer. If I had a library of previously bid projects that our company did, and so just thinking about our listeners, it could be anything from kitchen cabinets and curved displays to decks and fences and additions, ADUs, pergolas, ceilings, doesn't matter. Could I input those in and create some intelligent system now for creating pricing for my company?
Oh, 100%. Right.
Oh my gosh.
We could take let's say you have a spreadsheet you do pergolas, right? That's kind of your main thing. You build pergolas, right? And you've got a spreadsheet that has 15 pergola jobs you've done over the last 6 months or 3 months or whatever it is, and you have your total price of the project that you presented to the customer. You have your labor expense. You have your cost of hardware to put it all together. You have your net margin, gross margin on the build out. But it's not where you want it to be, right? You need to increase, just tweak this, tweak
Well,
that.
you are on a call with a business coach, so the answer is yes. We want to make more money on that.
That's right.
Yeah. It's the standard answer. Yeah.
Using that spreadsheet that we've built of your past jobs, now we can say, hey, moving forward, I want to always hit this gross margin on my labor. I want to hit this gross margin on my COGS, and I want to hit overall gross margin on the job in general. And that, if we wanted to, we could probably break it down to your revenue per hour that you're talking about there, or your
right.
what you need to generate, right? And now we have a system to say, hey, this is what I'm thinking about pricing this job at. Here's the square footage. Here's my how many hours I think it's going to take. Here's the amount of hardware or raw materials that I think it's going to take to build this. Check it for me. Is this where I need to be at?
I'm dying to be done this interview with you because I have a client that I need to call right now.
Okay.
And they do architecture millwork, tens of millions of dollars of millwork per job.
Yeah.
And they're struggling with this right now because the different people in the company, people have been in that company for years. Well, those people can glance at a set of drawings and say, that will be $4 million. And then you could put an estimator on the job, and he's going to come in and do all of the work he needs to do to estimate it and come in at $4.1 million. Like that institutional knowledge of somebody who's been doing it for years, they just glance at it and know.
Right.
And then somebody else goes and puts in 20, 25, 30 hours of labor to come to the same price. That has just been how things are in our industry for so long. It doesn't matter if it's cabinets or concrete.
Yeah. That's one of the talking points that we have when we're talking to business owners about this what I call the AI knowledge bot, or the AI knowledge agent, is what we're talking about with what we're doing for you. Is that what happens? How do we keep that institutional knowledge in our organization when someone leaves,
retires?
Yeah, right. Or moves on to another opportunity, or because that's a big problem. Because like you're saying, if they've got 20 years of knowledge and the most senior person underneath them has 7, we're talking about 13-year gap where it's going to take that junior person a long time to make that up. So what can we do to ensure that the person who has been doing this for 20 years, we're capturing that institutional knowledge? And it doesn't have to be like, hey, John, every morning, I need you to spend an hour just kind of talking through all the things that you do. No, we don't have to do that. We can look at past projects. We can look at documents that have been written. We can look at emails that have been written.
Most current pricing schedules and catalogs and
whatever your current data is, right? And we can say, okay, this is what we're going for. We have this data here, but we need to fill in a few gaps. And maybe we just have John help us fill in a few gaps, right? And there's 100 different ways we can kind of pitch that to John to get his.
I think that's what I've appreciated most about this process for myself and for our mutual client, is that there hasn't been anything we've requested or asked that you haven't just said, oh, we'll just do this, which, to be honest, is a little bit frustrating. But I say that in the best way, because your mind is just like, oh, well, we need to capture this data. Here's the format. Here's the way to do it. Oh, this is what we've seen work the easiest for others. So I'm not knocking you at all. I'm just like, you've seen it before, and you're like, look, bud, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. We're just going to talk to you, and that interview will be turned into, the answer. And of course, we still have to do our human checking in the background.
100%.
Right?
Yeah, 100%.
But I would rather spend 2 hours human checking, a 10-hour time savings, than 12 hours, 20 hours, 120 hours trying to train somebody on a new system and not really getting it right.
And the great thing about the human checking, Don, is that when we find anomalies and we find things that did not come out the right way, their answer was wrong, or whatever it might be, we can put that back into the system and retrain it so that it doesn't happen again. Right. Whereas with, if you think about it, like a human, if they make a mistake, they make the same mistake again, They make it again, and you've now
I
reinforced
feel
this
like you're
3
talking to
times.
me. I feel like I feel like you're pointing me out here in the crowd.
But,
Right. But you're saying it learns. It learns. So if we do
it
find a
learns.
mistake, we can update the. And by the way,
Massive.
you called it an AI agent. What does an agent mean in this? Is this a
Yeah.
human?
So an AI agent really is just an AI computer system that is doing multiple steps of a process on your behalf,
Okay.
right? So, for example, with this AI knowledge agent, which is the agent that we're building that has all of your documentation and everything in it, what are we doing? Well, one, it's ingesting and organizing all of your documentation that we've given it access to. Right?
Okay.
So that's step one. Step two is it's putting its own little digital marker on every topic, every conversation, so it knows how many times you've discussed your boot camps. Because every time it sees the word boot camp, it's putting a marker on it, and it's categorizing all of the boot camp data, and it's the way that it categorizes it
Right.
in its own little.
It's tagging it. It's like we would do in
There you
an
go.
ERP system. It's tagged as veneers or it's
That's it.
tagged as pergola, right? Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's step number 2. So we're ingesting the data. Now we're tagging the data, right? And because it's building its own kind of categorization and tagging system, it knows where to go find it really, really quickly. And so now when we query the data, ask the bot, how do I do this? And it queries the data. Now we're doing step number 3, right? And then finally it reads everything that it has access to, summarizes it, puts it back into a format that we're going to understand, and now it's provided you an answer. So that is an agent because it's taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps, and it's doing all of this without you having to query it each time or queue it up each time, right?
So can I translate even
Absolutely,
that?
please.
I'll translate. No, but you made sense there, but I'm going to translate that for everybody else.
Great.
When you're on the phone with Delta Airlines and it says, do you want to talk to an agent? And it's a bot, that's the agent. It's just who you're chatting with. And I'll tell you one of the things that I've found, and our mutual client found this as well. So it's interesting that not only does your tool return the answer, but there's a little reference, there's a little bubble, and it's numbered 1, 2, 3, 4. I can click. So let's say it's estimating, or let's say it's onboarding. It doesn't matter because it's just information. I get the answer, but then there's a bubble. I click the bubble, let's say bubble number 1, and it says, here's the reference document for that onboarding tool, or here's the reference for how we priced that atrium lobby reverse ceiling in custom veneer. It's just right there. So you can go back and look at the reference data as well, which I think is another level of cool.
Yeah. So it's citing all of its sources for you. The same way that we used to cite our sources when we were writing reports back in high school.
Yeah.
Right.
We were supposed to.
Yeah, that's right.
You're supposed to. Yeah. Supposed to.
But it's doing the same thing, right? Because what we want to make sure of is that it's not just hallucinating answers for you. So in order for it to prove its work, another thing we were told to do all the time, prove your work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
In order for it to prove its work, it is now saying, okay, this is the data I got. Here's how I'm presenting it to you. And here's where I picked it up from. And you can, like you said, click on the bubble and it takes you to the document that we pulled that data from.
Yeah.
So now not only is it providing you the answer, it's searching for you too. So now if you need to send that on to somebody, now you have a reference to where the document or the data came from.
Hey, I want to tell you a story about a lighthouse, right? Think about a lighthouse and a ship on the high seas. And you, of course, are the captain of the ship. And ships don't need the captain at the wheel every second of the day. What they really need is a light to guide them safely home. And that is the role of a foreman on your ship, a steady guide. The problem is most foremen were promoted for their skills on the tools, not their leadership. And of course, on top of that, until now, there's never been a way to train foremen on leadership skills. Well, Foreman 101 fixes that. Join my free information call. I need the owner and the foreman there together, and I'll show you the actual agenda. Get on the wait list for the next free info session. Just text me at 315-903-7853 and say foreman training, and we'll get you on the list. Okay, I'm going to change gears.
Go ahead.
I'm going to now, contractors out there are listening and they're saying, hang on, you guys, Dominic and Justin, what about security and confidentiality? Because I don't need my information put out in the entire world. I'm going to give it to AI and they're going to use it against me in the future. Right? So we watch too many movies. Tell me about security and confidentiality in this world, because I think that is an important consideration.
No, happy to jump into that. Obviously, my background being in IT services, IT security is a huge point for myself and my organization to be thoughtful of and have at the forefront. But I know that everyone's kind of heard or has heard those stories about, well, be careful what you put into AI because it might, hold on to that data and then spit it back out to somebody else at some point in the future, right? And there is some truth to that. I'll be honest, because what you have to understand, these big AI companies, they still need a way to train their AIs on new data, right? And so what they'll do is in the small print, what in that terms of service agreement
That nobody looks at.
that no one looks at,
That nobody
right?
looks at.
What they've said in there is when you sign up for an account, if you're using a free account, they do have the right to use your data to train their new models.
When something's free, I'm the product.
That's
right.
That's correct. You are the
Yeah.
product.
Yeah.
Now, when you take ChatGPT or Anthropic's Claude or Google Gemini, and you go from free to paid, what these AI companies give you is they give you assurances that your data, one, is not going to be used to train future models unless you give it permission to. So by default, that's turned off. Number two, you have a retention period, meaning that your data will only be used by the AI, one, to answer the question that we've given it, and then two, for 7 days. And this is for the big companies. Now, the platform that we're using to build your AI knowledge agent, Dom, and others is a platform that is SOC 2 Type 2 certified, meaning they've gone through all of the controls and IT security processes, and to say that everything that we're storing is secure and no one can get into it unless they have access to it. All of the platforms that we're using are all protected with two-factor authentication, meaning that no one can log in unless not only do we have our password, but we also have the mobile code on our phone.
Right.
And also on the back end, anytime the AI is querying that data, there's a multi-step process where it's got to query the data and then send a question back to the AI. We're not using the front end kind of ChatGPT or Anthropic Claude systems that you're used to just going and typing into, right? Those are very user oriented systems. We're using a back end, the systematic,
right? Like Slack or WhatsApp or my own website page. Correct. Just for this.
Or to communicate, we're using like APIs and things, technical terms in the back end. But what that gives us is now the ability to really get granular with how long that AI can hold on to that data. And so when we make a query and it has to send that query to the AI platform, we say, you can't hold this for more than 8 hours. That's it. And it's gone. So,
interesting. I didn't know that.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're storing your documents in a secure location so no one can get access to them. We are telling the AI cannot hold on to your data. It's not going to use it for any sort of training. Everything is protected with two-factor authentication. We can also anonymize your data if you want us to. So through that whole ingestion process, if you want to take out all customer names, any sort of identifying information in that data that you don't want, we can anonymize it on the fly. So maybe there's numbers in there, but there's no addresses or customer names or anyone that's tying the numbers to who it actually belongs to. So
there's a lot of security in other words, there are a lot of safeguards built in. And I think the other thing here, Justin, we just have to face up to it, is we can either take advantage of this technology or we cannot. Those are both choices. But I also want to challenge everybody out there listening to the day you heard about a friend of yours company who doesn't believe in computers and said, we're never going to use computers. We're pen and paper and pencil and paper. Well, I mean, eventually those companies change or they die.
Yeah.
And if I can be in a place where I understand AI and just imagine the leverageability and the scalability, because I could see, we started here talking about onboarding and training and support. And then, shame on me, I thought, well, what about estimating? What about engineering? Okay. But if we run that information through estimating, and now I can estimate more jobs or have it prioritize which job should I chase and which one should I ignore, I can set up my company for success before the bid even goes out.
100%.
I don't take crapola jobs anymore. I'm not supposed to say crapola. That's a bad word. but it's a fancy word for something else.
Well, Dom, you said something that I've talked to a lot of people about, or a couple of things. So, as it pertains to security, think about it. What all are you putting in your email at Microsoft and Google every day? How much data does your email have in it? Right,
Uh-oh.
customer data, a lot, right?
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
you specific. I'm throwing you as a
No,
generalization.
I know, but all of us are
Yeah,
using
correct.
that. Yeah.
And so I think it's always interesting when someone said, "Well, I'm not going to use AI because they can have access to my data." Well, but you're letting Microsoft and Google have access to your data in sitting in their email server every day.
Right.
So though Microsoft and Google and the companies that are doing the AI all have to use the same sort of security platforms. They all have to get certified, SOC 2, Type 2, GDPR, whatever the system is that they have to get certified on. They're all doing the same thing. So that
Hmm.
means if a company is SOC 2, Type 2, they are as secure as Google has to be with your data. And so
Right.
that's kind of my thing is like, well, you're already doing it with you already have stuff in your email and you trust Microsoft and Google. Well, they have the same security standards as the other AI platforms, right?
Right. And anybody out
Um,
there using an ERP, you are using the same ERP software and system as everybody else using that system. And the programmers in the back end of that are looking to learn what questions get asked, where are the problems, where are the bottlenecks, where are we giving inconsistent results. So I want to set everybody's mind at ease, but I also want to say we have to look at the future, because I think if we don't, then we're going to get left behind.
100%. And this is all still, yeah, I mean, obviously machine learning and algorithmic kind of compute and things like that have been around for quite a while, 20, 30 years. But this whole idea of generative AI, which is what we're experiencing right now, is all very new to a lot of people. But Dom, for instance, this AI knowledge agent where you're asking questions in natural language and you're getting answers back in literal seconds
Yeah.
has been a problem that I've seen trying to be solved for the past 20 years. How do we
Mm.
get data into people's hands faster? And what was, all of the things that tried to solve this was, oh, let's put a CRM in, let's put an ERP in, let's
Yeah.
go to cloud storage, let's do SharePoint, let's do Google Drive. But what does it require? It still requires someone to go look for the data, right? And
Yeah.
so this is the first time I've found a solution or seen a solution where it's literally delivering exactly what it said it's going to do. I'm going to give you the data as soon as you ask for it. It is like having Google put into your business.
So let's take it back to, is this a problem we're solving? Right now, there's an engineer or an estimator in your company that can't get to you because you're doing something else. And we're speaking to the owners.
Mhm.
And that 15 minutes wasted is now going to turn into a 1 day delay on responding to a project. And that 1 day delay slows you down on selection, slows you down on ordering, slows you down on everything else. And so that now slows down the production time or the scheduling of getting a job on site. So the implications of this just go beyond, I could do it, but it's easier to not do it. At some point, you've got to face the music. We've got to start using systems like this. I have to say, Justin, I'm more excited by the end of this interview than I was at the beginning.
Great.
And I was excited enough to have you on the show in the first place. So take that as a huge compliment.
Appreciate
But
that.
we went, like I said, from onboarding, training, and support now to thinking about how could we use this for estimating and engineering and drafting and production control. I think the opportunities here, I mean, I don't want to be the last guy to the party, but the opportunities here are way beyond what I thought.
This is AI has the ability to transcend departments in the business, right? And I also, being an IT guy for the past 25 years and working in IT services, the one thing I don't agree with, I don't agree with taking AI and just throwing AI in the IT bucket. Okay, yes, does it have to do with computers and you have to use a computer to interface with it? Yes, totally understand that. So that by that measure, you can throw it in the IT bucket. But
Mm-hmm.
generally, when we're talking about IT, we're not talking about transcending all of the departments of the business. Maybe in some instances we are, but for the most part, we're not, right? So I think with AI, the way that you've got to be thinking about it, the reason why we were able to go from onboarding to estimating to time savings to all the things we talked about is because this technology has the ability to transform your business in all of the departments. And it all kind of is, it's all, again, meeting you where you're at. right? So when I
Right.
talk to business owners and we say, well, we do AI solutions, they kind of look at me funny, like, well, I don't really know where
I don't need it. I don't know what
I
it
don't know where
is.
I would put AI into my business. And so that's a great opening for, oh, by the way, how often are you getting pulled aside? This is a great one. How often are you getting asked the same question every week, and you're having to take 15, 30, 45 seconds to respond to that? And every time someone asks you that question, you're like, oh, I told you last week.
I know. That's
Right?
that's one of the entire modules of foreman training, right? How many times is a foreman getting pulled off his or her job because they're answering the same question?
The same question.
Yeah.
That's something that resonates very, very quickly with someone. The other thing, which is what I got from our mutual friend, was it's like, man, Justin, how do I clone myself? I'm glad you asked.
Because we can do it.
Because we can do it. I mean, to a certain extent, obviously,
Yeah.
but no. I think what he meant by that was, how can I be in multiple places at one time, and not
Yeah.
me physically, but the data in my brain? How can that be in multiple places at once so that I'm not getting pulled,
Free to do something
right?
else.
And so we had a great conversation around that, right? Because I started going into my problem solving brain and understanding what this technology can do. And within half an hour or so, we kind of had a whole system laid out, what we're going to do to help clone him. And here we are. And now you and I are talking about the same thing. So
Yeah. I'm so thankful that you came on the show and that you're doing this, especially because you understand the trades industry. That's hard to find. There's a lot of people out there who are experts in whatever they're experts in, but understanding the trades, like specifically, you've got a lot of cabinetry and trades background. That adds a layer that is missing in a lot of places. So let me ask this, because you probably generated more questions for people in the audience than I even know. If somebody wants to find you, how the heck do they track you down?
Yeah, so you can head to the website. So it's, pathopt.com, or email me at justin@pathopt.com, or you can find Justin Dews at LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, I'm there. So multiple ways, and we will make sure to include my name and email in the summary of this video so that everyone can.
Yeah, of course, that'll be there. So you're findable by AI bots in the future.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. So I always like telling the story. There were so many, my experience with specifically the cabinet kind of contractors was, I don't recall how many of the cabinetware to cabinet vision conversions that we did. When I was in the IT services world, right? And so talk about quickly learning the ins and outs of a trade business, was having to move so many of the shops off of an old software platform that was no longer being supported anymore into the new one, and all of the conversations that happened and the teeth pulling it took
to get it done. Yeah, well, it's and that those conversations still continue to happen. There's as you know, there's ERP systems, and one of them is extremely popular right now. Microvellum is now going to be pulled over more into that, so that conversation's happening against all the other systems. And as business coaches, we're agnostic. Like we stay out of the software conversation because the application, how the owner wants the company to use the info is more important to us than which one you choose. But it always lends itself to the same thing. How do we get it implemented? How do we move over to it? And I guess this is part of the answer. This
is it. So no, I love to have the conversations. This is where I get excited about just solving problems for people, right? And, I've found a tool that helps me do this in a much more robust way than I was doing the last few years.
Well, you and I are going to be talking a lot, and our mutual friend and client is already up and running with using you. So I guess if anybody has questions, contact me or Justin. Your company name, say it one more time for everybody.
PathOpt. So like taking the path down the road and finding the best option.
PathOpt. Yeah. Hey, thanks for being on here. I appreciate it. By the way, for everybody listening, I'm doing the test right now. So whenever you talk to me, ask me how it's going, and I'll tell you, warts and all, what's happening. So far, we haven't found any warts. I'm pretty excited.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I'm excited about it. Yeah, it's really. 30 million words, Dom. 30 million words.
29 million of those are mine. Everybody's laughing right now. They know it. But it is years of coaching material and coaching meetings that's gone into this, because we now have 5 business coaches here.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And those coaches are rock stars on their own. So it makes it so much better and easier for us to answer when people have a question about a family business with a gross profit problem and a transportation issue. What do we do? You're like, oh, okay, well, here's what we've done in the past. Love it. Thank you, sir. Listen, I know you're going to be on again. So
awesome.
Yeah, we'll have you back. Thanks, Justin. Have a great day.
Appreciate it, bud. See you, man.
Bye-bye. Well, Justin, thank you so much for being a guest on the show. I really appreciate it. We covered a lot more ground than I thought we were going to, and shame on me for not understanding all of the implications of this kind of thing. Folks, I hope one day you and I get to share a cup of coffee, a glass of wine across the table, but until then, if you've got questions about this AI thing, or I can help with anything regarding the future of your business, send me a text, ask me a question. There's always free downloads that we have that'll help with this stuff. We don't have one around AI yet, but if you're interested in that, let me know, and I'll be sure to help. My cell phone number, as you know, is, and please write this down, so because I say it on every episode, but write it down so you've got it. My cell is 315-903-7853. I hope one day you and I have a chance to meet. Until then, reach out, let's say hi, and we'll talk through all these things, and I'll tell you what other owners are doing right now in the same situation as you. We'll talk to you soon.